I thought there was a really long game, and a lot of pitches thrown by both teams. And but I thought, starting out the game, I thought Wicklander, he had really good stuff. Got in a little bit of trouble. Pitch count got up, 80 pitches in 4 innings. A lot of full counts. The walks were starting to. We started to get a little nervous. We felt like it was time to get him out. Didn't want to send him back for the 5th, and we just wanted Ramage to give us a couple innings. And had a little trouble throwing strikes behind about every hitter, and got behind a good hitter. Had 11 homers. Now he's got 12, and drove in 3 runs. Got him right back in the game. Got us through the inning. And then we went to Cops, and Cops kind of did it for us. He kind of brought some normalcy to the ball game in a way. Slowed it down. We left a lot of runners on base, 15, and had the bases loaded, 3-4 times. And, a couple of times we hit in double plays. He had a chance to build that lead up and didn't do it. They got back in the game, and then finally had a couple of big walks there in the 7th that drove in 2 runs. And then obviously Opitz worked to, I think, 2-2 count, full count, and then, single to right. I think maybe a 2-base error, whatever, 3 runs scored, and we felt pretty good there. So just really good job coming out and winning the series. Now, our big challenge is to have somebody step it up in the bullpen tomorrow, and probably have Connor Nolan start tomorrow. So hopefully he'll have a good outing.
I think 13 of your first 16 walks, 8 of those guys scored. I mean, that's kind of abnormal for an SEC game, especially against a good team like this.
Yeah, I think it was a combo of everything. Their pitchers were having a little trouble locating. It's not like the umpire didn't have a pretty big zone. I think that we fouled off a lot of pitches. We took a lot of pitches. We were patient, and patience probably won us the game. We got 2 walks with the bases loaded. It just seems like, I think what started that inning was a walk, a 3-2 walk, and then a nice drag bunt, base hit by Martin, and it just a lot of patience there, and then we finally got the big hit.
Talking about patience, Martin went the other way. I don't know if you can.
That's all we've been doing. That's all we've been doing in practice. I mean, it's pretty obvious what we need to do, and then it's up to them to do it and buy in. And Casey's done a great job. I mean, he's raised his average, in the last 4 or 5 games because he's hit the ball through the middle, and instead of his best swings hitting the ball foul, balls in fair territory, he's getting a lot of hits. So it's good to see.
He's got the word Kerstad's suspended for tomorrow. Will you start Washington?
Sure.
First, what's your thought on him getting suspended, and what do you think?
Well, he got thrown out of the game, so that's what happened. And along with that, with a player getting thrown out of the game, he has to miss the next game. I haven't talked to Heston about it. He's pretty mild-mannered. Yeah. So I guess he felt pretty strongly about the call. I'm going to go look it up on our TrackMan. The problem with the call was really late. It was almost ridiculously late. So, if it's all in the same rhythm and the same that been calling the whole game, not a problem. It is what it is. But the way that was, it was almost like he had to talk himself into making that call. And that's not the way you umpire.
The offense had kind of stalled out before that, and then y'all scored, I think, 5 more runs after. Do you think that kind of sparked the team a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it sparked them. I mean, we got it going a little bit. It definitely got our attention because, that was a big at bat in the game. We had the bases loaded and 1 out, so we can score in many different ways. And I think that pitch would have made it because it was outside. It would have been 2-2 count, maybe 3-2. So I feel bad for Heston because, he hit it into a double play with the bases loaded earlier in the game. And, he wanted to, have a fair shake at, driving in a run there and, kind of making up for not driving in a run earlier in the game. And he didn't get that opportunity.
The third assistant didn't get voted in today.
Yeah.
How disappointing is that?
Very disappointing. Just probably really need to sit down and think about it. It's game day, so I didn't go through it a whole lot, but it's just disappointing that some of the schools, the universities that voted no, they're supposedly, supporting their coaches and their team. Some big schools, real big, and baseball type powers, and they don't want to take any of their millions of dollars and pay another coach. I get it, but at least they could give an opportunity for somebody to go recruit. That's all they do is pass it so someone can recruit. Because the biggest problem in hiring coaches, and I've had to hire a few the last few years because my coaches have done well and gone on to be head coaches and things, is that they don't have experience recruiting. So if you have a third coach and maybe he's still just working camps and getting paid that way and other ways, but at least he can go on the road and recruit. And he can show you and prove to you that he knows what a good player is or what is going to be and has experience. And it's, when you're talking about two of the power conferences not having, I think it should be unanimous in those leagues. The Big Ten and the Big 12 should be unanimous. It makes no sense. I feel bad for the players, because it's about player wellness or student wellness. Well, they're students, and we're having to go out recruiting. There's not anybody here to coach them. I mean, yeah, it's I don't know. They got together and they put together what they were all going to say and told each other what to say, and that's what they're saying, and it's kind of sad.
Did it surprise you they didn't pass?
At first I thought it would go easy, I'm saying a few months back, and then we were thinking maybe it might not because some of the smaller schools, maybe their leagues weren't gonna pass it, but then a lot of them said, yeah, we want to have that option. We want what's good for college baseball. And then we hear that, a week or so ago that the Big 12 wasn't going to pass it, and there's Texas and Texas Tech, and I don't know who else, but those are the two that I know. And those are pretty good baseball schools, and you just wonder how their coaches feel, how they're supported by their administration. They can't get that voted in, even if they don't want to pay somebody. As I repeat, and everybody says the same. You don't have to pay them; just vote it in. Give us an option to go recruit. I'm glad I'm here. I'll just tell you that. And I'm glad that we have support.
Kendall had tweeted that you had
I said it.
Yeah, I mean, so how important is that?
That's how important it is. I mean, if it came down to budget, well, we don't have that money in the budget. Well, here's some. I'll give it to you. Whatever, we're going to get it for you. You can have. We already give them all our camp money. Our volunteers. We don't hardly take any, if any. Just so we can have them here. They don't have any benefits, and it's hard for me personally. It's hard for me to hire a volunteer coach that has family, because I feel guilty, because what if someone gets sick? A kid needs to go to the doctor. Hopefully his wife has a good job that has benefits. So there's a lot that goes to it. It's not just baseball related. And I told you I wasn't going to talk about it a whole lot, but yeah, I did, and I knew I would. So.
The middle innings, they were putting some good swings on you guys, and then Kevin Cobbs came in and shut them down. What did you think of the performance?
I thought he did a great job. I mean, I mentioned that before you got in here, I think. But he slowed it down. He brought what I said earlier was like, some normalcy to the game. The game was going crazy. Both sides, people weren't throwing the ball over the plate and walking people, and it's game 2 of an SEC series. You're supposed to have some decent pitching on a game 2, and everybody's scattering the ball and pitching behind in the count. And Kevin came in, and but you think about it, he hits first hitter, then he walks a guy, and you're thinking, oh baby, here we go again. And then he got it under control, got through the inning. They did a quick second inning, and then the third inning, not bad. And he's up to 50 pitches though, and so we got him out. We hadn't taken him above there. We're just trying to take care of our guys. So nobody's really asked me, but Scroggins isn't even on the 35-man or the 27-man roster because he's out for a couple weeks. We're resting him, and so we were trying to get through this period. We got Kostychak back with Lucas Scroggins for a couple of weeks, and we've got to just rest him a little bit, and then we just got to keep fighting through. Someone's got to pick us up.
Arm soreness with him?
Yeah, he felt it the other day. And he pitched 2 innings against Vandy, and it wasn't going good. But the issue was his arm. We find out, even if we weren't going to bring him out, or if there had been a 3rd inning for him, he wasn't going back out. He had told us. We find out later. He said I wouldn't have gone out. That he was having some soreness in his elbow, not in the, not in. We've had it looked at. It's fine. He just it needs a couple, maybe 10 days, 14 days rest. So.
What do you think the next 2 months? Do you think you keep adding? Or you think
if we need to. But when he got to 50 pitches, we were going to send him back out in the 9th until, I think the catcher fouled off a bunch of pitches before he finally got rung up somehow. But anyway, and then then they got another run. But when he got to 50, we said, no, we can't send him back up. So, now he's been there. Now maybe the next time he can go a little more if we need him, or maybe he can pitch on a Friday and a Sunday, 30 and 30 or something. And we were just trying to take care of our guys, so we can have everybody at the end of the season.
So Scroggins, he's probably out for the Tennessee series
Yeah.
too. I was going to ask you why you weren't starting him, so
I've been waiting.
I was just waiting for you. You beat me too.
Hey, with Cobbs, there was a stretch where you kept bringing him in tied games, and he would take the loss.
Yeah.
And then he got the win in that long game against Vanderbilt. What did you see maybe in between there that's turned the tide?
I think the command is a lot better now. And, he throws that cutter that's got some pretty good depth on it. And tonight was actually elevated a little bit, but it was still moving, and they were swinging at it. But when it's down and he's ahead in the count, it's nasty. I mean, sometimes they don't even know what it is, and they don't know if it's slider, cutter, or if it's just some type of natural movement. But when he can start it off about belt high and it ends up, mid shin, that's when you know it's rolling pretty good.
All good?
Okay. There's Casey Opitz.